I don't think I am anywhere near on the autistic spectrum. I don't think I've got that. I kind of wanted to. I looked into it once I saw your show because I thought, well, I am a bit obsessive about things, but I don't think I have it. And it would be nice to have it because it would excuse my bad personality. If I did have it, but I think maybe sort of think, oh well, do you think it's interesting, isn't it, that the anger, or or the annoyance that it creates from people thinking it's imaginary. I think if you read this book, you go, okay, look, this is not what you're thinking of. The things that you go through, the things that are on the extreme end of it, are not things that a person who wasn't autistic would go through. But I suppose it's sort of it's life ramped up a bit. We all can be upset. I'm annoyed by the sound of polystyrene rubbing against polystyrene, as I think most people are, and it can make me quite angry. But I don't think that means that I'm autistic. But someone might look at that and go, well, I've that happens to me, and this happens to me. Do you think that's something that? I think this book addresses it, and I think this book hopefully will change it. But is that the worst thing? Is that one of the worst things about this? Having to deal with those. You brought up this sort of tabloid attitude straight away. Is that a hard thing to cope with?
It's definitely annoying. It doesn't happen as much with autism as it does with ADHD.
Right.
And ADHD does seem to be a bigger thing, so maybe that's why it's a bigger target. I think autism is kept a little safer if you know anything about it from that accusation, just because it's a sort of it seems to have a lot more markers associated with it. It's quite a process to actually get your sort of certificate, and there's no medication for it, so there's no. Even the worst faith person couldn't say, you just want to get your autism diagnosis so you can get lovely medicine, lovely pills to take. It's like, no, there's no pills. You just like this forever. Enjoy. There's kind of there's no advantage to it either medically or socially, because it's also, I think, certainly the impression I get is that ADHD is incorrectly or whatever, but still viewed as a bit of a kind of charming, I'm just very klutzy. There's a kind of aspect of charming mess to it, whereas autism is not charming, or very rarely, I think, and people are more frightened of it. So it doesn't happen much. I think the main target of Paris's ire was probably ADHD, but it is annoying because you get people. But it comes both ways. I had a clip on Instagram do quite well of talking about the double empathy problem in autism, which is a way of explaining that autistic people do have empathy. It's just misunderstood, misclassified. But as much as there will be comments from people saying things like, "Oh, everyone's autistic these days," equally you get autistic people saying, "Oh, I disagree that we're only 1% to 3% of the population. I think we're like 20%." And I think I don't think so. I think because I looked into the estimates. I talked to a couple of professionals when I wrote the book, and the highest estimate I could get was 5%.
Right.
5%, which is way more than ever in history we've imagined. But it's not. I think if you spend a lot of time online, you think there's a lot of autistic people around. And the truth is that we just like the internet. It's like saying, I think an autistic population is probably 80-90% if Train Club is anything to judge it by. You've got a sampling bias there,